Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, everyone, for joining. And like Sarah mentioned, if there's any questions along the way, please submit them to the chat or the Q&A, and we'll make sure that we get to those by the end of the session. So we want to make sure that we answer everything. Cool. So as mentioned, we want to talk about backup today. So as everyone knows, data is the lifeblood of any business. So something to think about, where is the data going to exist? Historically, it's always been on site. The customer has their own servers. Now with all the different cloud applications and cloud hosting that's going on, a good thing to think about is where is the data going to be within a few years. So we're actually seeing about 93% of organizations are transitioning critical applications to the cloud, whether it's Office 365 or something else that they're using. So we want to make sure that people are prepared for that. So there's lots of services. We offer one for cloud-to-cloud backup for Office 365, cloud archiving, as a way to make sure that you and your customers are prepared for this migration. But there's still business critical servers and applications that still live on site. So we need to make sure that all of that stuff is protected as well. So that's where it's still crucial that we have a backup solution in place to protect customer environments, to make sure that this business critical data is accessible and recoverable in any kind of malware or hardware failure event. So we at Barracuda MSP offer a couple of different backup solutions that meet different customer needs. So we're going to focus on Intronis backup today, and we're going to focus on our backup appliance. So the Intronis backup is a SaaS-based solution. So it's pretty flexible, it's really light, it's an agent-based solution. In terms of pricing structure, it's based around cloud storage, which means we can back up unlimited devices with the licenses. We can back up unlimited stuff to local hardware. And that's one of the differences with this that I'll get into is it's not tied to any specific hardware in terms of backup storage. It comes with cloud storage, and the customer or you, the MSP, will provide whatever local storage device the customer wants to use. So it's really great for repurposing NAS or SANs or backup servers from other vendors. It comes with local disaster recovery as a service to preferred hardware. One of the key features is it actually integrates with many of the major RMM and PSA tools for things like deployment, monitoring, ticketing and billing are really important. And it's a really great solution for desktops, small server environments, specific Windows applications. If there's a lot of remote users like laptops, it's really great for those as well. And it integrates directly with our RMM, the Managed Workplace solution. So anyone that's using that will be able to deploy and monitor the Intronis backup solution directly from that interface. It also comes as a fully managed option, meaning that it can be purchased with Barracuda MSP, doing all of the backup monitoring and management for you guys. The other solution that we'll take a look at is our backup appliance. So this is going to be an all-in-one backup solution, meaning we're providing the backup hardware and the cloud storage all in one solution. So you put the device at the customer site, it can handle that local and cloud option for backup. So it is cloud integrated into the Barracuda cloud and AWS public cloud, and it is a backup and disaster recovery solution. I'll show you guys in a little bit. Really easy to deploy and manage, and we found that it replaces having to have a separate appliance solution, a separate agent-based solution for different applications and things like that. It kind of handles it all, and it's available in both a physical or as a virtual deployment. And then it can replicate any of that local backup data to the Barracuda cloud, to another Barracuda backup device, to a virtual appliance somewhere, or it has the option to replicate to an AWS storage bucket as well. And then it comes all inclusive with all of the different Barracuda licenses, including things like instant replacement, hardware warranty, support, unlimited cloud storage, things like that. So let me go ahead here, and I can actually take you guys through a live demo from a high level for each of the solutions. So we'll start with the Intronis backup. So again, this is the SaaS-based solution, really light, really flexible. It's great for smaller environments or environments with a lot of remote employees. So this is the main dashboard. It's a multi-tenant solution. So I'm looking at it from what you guys would see as the MSP view. This is a list of all of my customers and all of the agents that I have deployed per customer. are associated with that customer bucket. So your team as admins have full access from a single dashboard to all of your customers. If you have any customers that have any level of their own IT staff, or they're just asking that they want to log in and be able to, see dashboards or anything like that, you can give them permissions to their account. They only see agents associated with their accounts. This is completely white label as well. So if you guys wanted, you can rebrand this portal, you can rebrand the agent, some notifications that go out, and really make it your own solution. And then as we mentioned, it integrates with a lot of the top RMM and PSAs out there. So we have the ability through those integrations where we can push deployments of agents out to all the protected devices, monitor their solutions. We can push ticket notifications to the service board, so it'll actually generate tickets based on certain backup conditions that your help desk needs to be aware of. And then from a billing aspect, we have the ability where we can update invoices or export billing information. So it's really easy for the finance team to bill for these services as well. So the solution has the ability to back up everything on the left-hand column. There's a lot of options, but it really breaks down into two distinct layers. Are we trying to take images of some kind of device for full disaster recovery, or are we looking for more granular object level for things like file and folder, SQL, Exchange if that still exists? So it has the ability where it can fully support physical images on physical devices. It's great in Hyper-V or VMware environments, allowing us to back up full images of any of the guest VMs. In recovery scenarios, they have the ability for physical imaging where we can go back to the original device. We can restore bare metal to dissimilar physical hardware. We can virtualize these physical images as a VM guest, so a lot of flexible options there. And then Hyper-V and VMware allow us to go back either to the original host or recover to an alternate host. For files and folders, pretty straightforward. We can drill through and grab anything within the file system, and we can granular recovery any files or folders from there. SQL and Exchange give us access to backup down to, or recover down to the database level. And then if there still anyone that has Exchange, we have message level or mailbox level backups included. So these are pretty flexible based on customer needs, meaning these can be backed up for things like files and folders as frequently as once every 15 minutes. Any databases or images can be backed up as frequently as once per hour throughout the day. And then retention is really customizable as well. So it has the ability where it can create an advanced rolling style of retention. So if the customer has any kind of compliance needs or corporate policy where they want to keep data for days, weeks, months, years, we can go ahead and create a corresponding retention policy so they stay within compliance and don't break policy. So these are going to be incremental level backups, meaning the first backup is going to be a full. Everything from there is just block level changes moving forward. So it's pretty efficient at handling change within the environment, which is nice. And then all of the backups are encrypted. So it uses AES 256-bit encryption, both at rest in transit and then at rest in our data centers as well. And then recoveries are also run through this portal. So if we're trying to recover, like I mentioned, bare metal, it's based around a bootable ISO file. Otherwise, we have the ability where we can browse the backup data. Maybe somebody just needs a file back or something like that. We can browse the file data, and it allows us to go through, select exactly what we want, and recover it to the destination of our choice. So really quick, really efficient there. In terms of monitoring, outside of the integrations, it's also based around email notifications. So we have the ability where we can set up email-based alerting if somebody wants to receive emails on any of these backup conditions. We can go ahead and set those up. Completed warning failed. If it doesn't run at its scheduled time, those are things like backup missed. And then from a management perspective, the first page that everyone logs into is actually this dashboard. So this is showing us things that completed in the last 24 hours with failures or warnings. It gives us the ability, we can see which customer account may have had failures or warnings, which agent at that customer account, which backup set, and then we can actually go so far as to view logs from this portal as well. So really easy for help desk or technicians. And then there's a handful of reports built into this system. So a lot of them are geared towards kind of making your lives easier at managing multiple different customers and endpoints. So we can see like who hasn't had a backup complete successfully recently, what are people's usage over time with the account snapshot. A really important one that corresponds with notifications is plan percentage. So how close are people to reaching that plan that you've assigned to them before there's any kind of overages or anything like that. We did design the executive summary report with the end user in mind. So this is a rebrandable report that's designed to go directly to the end customer. And the idea is it's going to demonstrate the value that you guys are offering through the service. So some key data points, how much backups were we able to run, how much data were we protecting, if we had to run any recoveries, how much data were we able to save for them, success rate, usage over time, things like that. So these are really nice. These can be generated as needed, or I do see a lot of partners sending these out once a month. It corresponds with the time that you guys are sending the invoice. So the other solution that we wanted to take a look at was the backup appliance. So this is available as both physical hardware or as a virtual deployment. And these scale much better with larger, more complex environments. So these range anywhere from 1 terabyte to 112 terabyte capacity. Really simple to deploy. We can drop ship it to the customer site. We can drop ship it to your office. Basically, you guys plug it in, assign it an IP. It checks into this cloud portal. And then we have the ability to do everything we need to from this singular interface here. So this supports lots of different environments. Again, Windows environments. This supports Mac, Linux. This is really great with Hyper-V and VMware environments where we can access any of the hosts and guests data. And it's really simple to deploy. Once it's checked in and you deploy those agents, we just connect it to sources. So we just tell it what on the network do we want to back up, and it automatically goes out and sees the data that makes up that source. So this is just a Windows agent. It sees this is a SQL server because it sees SQL on there, file system, system state data, things like that. So the backups here are also schedule based. So similar kind of idea. We can come in and just tell it how frequently do we want to run these backups. And again, these can back up every X minutes or X hours throughout the day. So it really goes ahead and meets those customers' needs. And then same kind of idea as the previous solution as well. Retention policies can be applied against the data. And there's some templates in here based on data type and best practices. You guys can create your own templates, but again, it's based on this rolling style of retention. How many days, weeks, months, years do we want to keep retention for? So in terms of pricing, these are all in one. So the idea is it's going to be a lease of the device. There's no upfront cost for the hardware. The cloud storage is included, 24/7 support, hardware warranties, all of that stuff is included with a fixed monthly cost. So it's really easy for smaller businesses to get into as well. And then replication can be set up. So I mentioned it comes included with cloud. You can also replicate, instead of the Barracuda cloud, it can be replicated to AWS. If you want to do in addition to the cloud, it can back up to other Barracuda devices as well. So they come with what we call virtual receivers, which is a license for an OVF or a VHD that can be deployed elsewhere. So not only are we keeping the original local source data on the backup appliance, it can also replicate it to another site if the customer has multiple locations or if you guys have a data center, and then in addition to the Barracuda cloud. So it kind of gives us that 3-2-1 approach to have multiple different copies of the data in different locations. So it's also a block level solution. It does have deduplication built into the device, so it's really, really efficient at handling complex environments. It's incremental forever, so it's only capturing the block level changes to the data as it comes in. And then in terms of recovery, it's based on point-in-time recovery, so it's really easy if I know when I want to recover from. I can go to the month, year, day, even time of day based on what my selection has been. And just notice it filters my view. based on what I've selected here. And then I see a list of all the different sources, all the different agents that I've deployed. So I can go ahead and very easily recover any of this stuff. So for example, maybe I need something from the file system. Really easy, keeps the folder hierarchy intact. I select whatever I need. I go ahead and restore, and it'll recover it right back to where it came from. Maybe I need something like SQL for one of these application level recoveries. This gives me the ability to go through, and as I click through, I see all the versions of this database. I can restore from the database level, either back to the original location, back to an alternate location. Maybe I just want a flat BAK file. So it gives us all of that functionality as well. This also supports Exchange, both from the database and from the message level. And then we start talking about things like images. This does have bare metal recovery for physical machines. That can be physical to physical or physical to virtual bare metal. And then it gives us the ability to recover both Hyper-V and VMware VMs as a source. So what's pretty interesting is as we start looking at these VM backups, a couple different options. If there's a VM for whatever reason, I need to recover it. Same idea, do I want to go to the original location? Do I want to go to an alternate location? Maybe I want to boot it up in some kind of standby or sandbox mode. I can choose to enable any of this hardware, including network adapters, so it doesn't interfere if there's anything still on the network. So you guys choose exactly where it goes. Maybe it's a scenario where somebody just needs a file from a VM or something like that. So as we actually click through these VMs, it's on the back end, exposing the virtual disks and mounting them on the appliance for us. So we're able to go through and get object level recovery, file level recovery from VMs without having to run separate backups, which is nice. And then we start talking about things like VMware or Hyper-V. We start to get some more advanced options. So Live Boot is a feature that we offer. It is VMware specific, but what it's doing is allowing us to utilize the appliance as a data store. So rather than having to take the virtual disk from the appliance to a SAN, picture we're temporarily turning the appliance into a SAN. So it doesn't handle the processing side, but it does expose the appliance as an NFS data store that can be attached to any other ESX host within the environment. So now instead of having to transfer those hundreds of gigs or terabytes, it's basically taking a few minutes, exposing that virtual disk, attaching it to the ESX host, and that VM is back up and running. And then we have the option for what we call Cloud Live Boot. So this is available for both VMware and Hyper-V. I don't like to position this as business continuity. What it's going to be is more data accessibility. So for any of these VMs, we can actually go ahead and utilize the Barracuda cloud, spin them up, and then we can give a public IP address if anybody needs to log in and access files from those. This is also great for anybody that needs to do regular testing, whether it's just corporate policy or compliance. Very easy to come in, spin up a VM, log into it, see that it is a valid recovery point, and you don't ever have to affect anything within the production environment. And then in terms of management, again, there's some reporting built in here. Things like this summary report, which is going to show us a running list of all the jobs. Green, yellow, red is status indicators within here. If I want to see specifics of what files or what VMs were added, I can go ahead and view details, which breaks out a list of all the different sources. It shows me the 46 items that were modified here. Maybe there's items that were removed for backup. I can filter out just those. So it gives us some granular into exactly what happened during the backup. These correspond directly with email notifications. So again, alert-based system. If we want to receive the summary report daily, you can set those up. The detailed report can go out every time a backup runs. And then really important for management or monitoring is alerts. So what happens if there's an error, a warning, or maybe the appliance goes offline? Those also correspond with email notifications. So hopefully that demonstrates a little bit of the two options that we offer. I usually tend to position the Intronis backup as flexible, great for smaller environments, great for a lot of remote employees where maybe they can't, VPN or they're not coming into the office regularly. That's where the Intronis backup is great. Put an agent on the endpoint, it can go direct to cloud. where the appliance definitely scales for larger environments, more complex environments where maybe the server itself is a little bit overworked and it can't just have an agent on it taking resources. That's where the appliance goes in and it handles all of that backup processing. And then it's great for those VMware environments. That live boot feature is really helpful. So make sure if you guys have any questions, I see a few came in, make sure you use the Q&A, make sure you use the chat. So the first question is in regards to the executive summary report within the Intronis backup. So the question is, can you send the executive summary report to yourself before going to the end user client? In other words, can you preview these reports? So you can. So you guys can customize what email address it goes to. They can be generated as a PDF or a CSV. You can also preview it from this portal here, kind of like I showed you guys. So this would be the different data points that are shown up here. This would be the date range that it's generating from, and then this is the customer account. So it gives you a pretty good idea of what the notification will look like for the recipient. So one of the other questions is, with so many people working remotely on their laptops, what can we do for backup there? So when I see a lot of remote users, laptop users, that's where I immediately start thinking Intronis backup, where we don't have to worry about them being on network, or they don't have to back up to any specific device first. As long as they have some kind of network connection, then the backup will run and it'll push the data directly to Barracuda. So it's a lot easier than trying to back up a lot of remote or laptop users through an appliance-based solution. Another question is there a limit regarding how much cloud storage is used for a particular client's backups? So I'm not sure which solution this was based around, but I can kind of answer it in terms of both. So the Intronis backup is based on cloud storage. So there's no hard limit or cap where it'll turn the backups off, but you guys will be assigning a storage amount to a customer, which correlates how, typically you plan on billing them, and then ultimately how you will be billed for that. And then for the appliance, there's no cloud storage limit. Every device comes with an equal amount of cloud storage, meaning if you have the 1 terabyte device, you get 1 terabyte of cloud storage. 12 terabyte device, 12 terabytes of cloud storage. So there's no hard limit or cap or anything like that. It's just what physically can the device hold. Another question around 2FA. Yep. So 2FA can be set up for both of the solutions for anyone that's accessing the portals. And that's all the questions I'm seeing. We can give you guys another minute to see if there's anything else. So another question, can you back up files from Office 365 or G Drive? So I touched on it really early. I didn't delve into it. We do have a solution specifically called cloud-to-cloud backup. You can actually see it in this portal here. It's specific for Office 365 right now, with the intention that at some point we're going to be accessing other clouds. I think it's a lot of it's an API limitation, but for now, the cloud-to-cloud backup service does have the ability to directly back up Office 365 Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, or the groups portion of Teams. And it's managed from the same interface as the appliances, which has SSO direct integration to the Intranos backup solution as well. Any other questions, guys? So the 2FA is set up from this portal here. And it can be set up by admins to either make it optional per user or required. So the Intranos 2FA pulls, so these two portals are integrated. The 2FA for Intranos stems from this as well. So all of the login authentication is driven through the back end of what controls the authentication for cloud control. So as long as 2FA is set up in here, either optional or required, it'll be respected when people log into the Intranos solution. So one of the other questions is the Office 365 backup different from Barracuda Email Essentials? Good question. So the Office 365 backup is actually part of the Email Essentials bundle. So Essentials is a suite of products that contain the security, the archiver, and then that cloud-to-cloud backup piece. Will the backup work if File Vault is enabled on Macs? So for the Intranos backup, it just accesses the file system through Windows Share. So it shouldn't be a problem, and there should be no issue with the appliance device with the agent on there either. How does the backup work in respect to FINRA? So these are both fit to or built to meet a lot of the different compliances out there. So FINRA is one where it gives you access to keep the data for that fixed period of time. I think FINRA is 5 years, but it allows you to keep the monthly, the yearly, the daily. So it works for both solutions. And then another requirement is typically encryption. So the data is encrypted and stored in a fashion so that it meets compliance. And we have specific documentation and things like that we can pull if the customer is asking for it, but it meets a lot of the major requirements and compliances out there. How does the cloud-to-cloud backup access Teams conversations? Yep, so Teams is a little bit tricky for the cloud-to-cloud backup piece, where it in itself isn't seen as an application in Office 365. It's kind of a wrapper for a lot of different applications. So right now, we don't have full Teams support. We can access any of the data associated with the Teams site or channel through the SharePoint side, and then we can back up any of the groups associated with a given channel. We're working on getting the planner and the chat or the conversations added very soon. So we're working towards getting that full team support. Great. So thank you guys for attending today. I really appreciate all of the questions. I know that, once we're done here, more will roll in. Please feel free. You can reach out to our sales team. If you guys are already partners, reach out to your sales rep and they can get you more information, data sheets. We can always set up demos and take a little more time and dive deeper into it. But thank you as always. I really appreciate you guys for joining.